All right. Yeah. So go ahead with the little recap that you were talking about. So yeah, we were on the hashtags.
So we were on the hashtags. I found I found about four major ones. Oh, speaking of that, I went to go apply them to my old pictures that I was reposting on an IG
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot, and Instagram kind of like they didn't shut my account down, but they paused. Yeah, they paused my promotion, so that kind of slowed down with getting me followers and everything. So I wouldn't know if these hashtags actually work because it's not allowing me to reach the people that I want to as far as the promotion goes.
Sure.
But yeah, man.
Now, when you
Um
said promotions, are you currently running ads?
I am running ads. So
Mm.
I'm running ads. So from my first conversation, I remember you just like, dude, just do it. Just make sure it aligns up with what you want to talk about or whatever like that. But just do it. And that's what I did. I said, let me experiment. I went out there and I took four photos that I had on my Instagram and I ran ads. I wish I could show it from this screen, but I actually reached almost 20,000 accounts. Um, I had about out of that 20,000, the percentage wasn't too bad. It was about 6,400 engagements, and I gained about 20 followers, and that cost me about $400. So I don't know if that's good.
It's actually horrific. Yeah. Yeah. Those numbers are
I know
so
out of 20,000, right?
no. It's not the 20,000 that I'm worried with. It's the dollar amount for 20 followers.
Right. Yep.
Especially because it's just followers and it's not into like a funnel where they're buying something on the back end. So those are horrific. But yes, the trying something was in regards to, all right, man, just start posting. But it's never a bad thing to learn because ultimately that's what this is about. And nothing's going to be perfect with the execution. So although you spent the money and you got 20 followers, that's okay. Lesson learned, and we can go back. Because do you even know how to like? Do you know what any of those metrics like really mean yet? Or have you just you're
Um,
just like, hey, I'm just going for it? And did you
I
boost
just went
those?
for it.
Go ahead.
I didn't. I know Facebook. They told me like I can boost and everything. Instagram, I didn't figure out because they just everything I posted, they just kind of like stopped my promotion. After a couple days, so I was
Yeah,
unable to really do it.
yeah. Which yeah, one of the things, and we'll talk about the last thing today, but that's one of the things that wow, I was like, all right, let's focus on philosophy first this month and mindset, and then we'll get into some of the tactical stuff, and it'll work out though. It'll work out. So okay.
Right.
So with that being said, the hashtags were one part that I wanted you to look up, and the three things that were working for each kind of platform with the people that you're following. I wanted you to find kind of three of those. So how'd that go?
All right. So that's a great question. So as far as so let's start with YouTube. I did YouTube like immediately after we got off the phone, and a lot of these guys, they don't really offer anything. Well, the guys that I researched, they didn't really offer any like you know like gifts if someone was to like stay to the end of the video or anything like that. A lot of these guys in the trucking industry, they just rant. They go on and they just kind of like just talk about trucker life and what's going on there. Maybe their journeys or whatever like that. So it's like a lifestyle thing. So in the trucker world, they do have like stuff that they were selling and everything, but it was just like a bunch of guys ranting. That's what I came across. That's what I saw on YouTube.
Mhm.
Instagram, I'm going to be honest, I kind of shut down when they shut me down. Only thing, because I was looking at the hashtags, I was looking up the hashtags to go back and add them to the promotion that I had to see if I can, you know, enhance the the visibility that I was getting.
Mhm.
And once they shut me down, I kind of spent so much time focusing on how to get back up, so I can test it. So um, that was that. And Facebook, I didn't run any ads there. I didn't do anything there. I didn't see how the guys network on Facebook, so I didn't touch that part. I
Okay.
know it was YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook I was going to focus on.
Okay. So, okay. So there's multiple things. So let's start with the YouTube one. Um, so you said that they didn't offer something to stay till the end. First of all, I have to let you know that's a very marketing centric. I can tell you've watched a lot of marketers or internet marketers on YouTube because a lot of them
Yeah,
say, "Oh, if you stay to the end, just wait to stay to the end. I'll have XYZ thing for you." So that's a very
right.
marketing thing. That's not
Hmm.
necessarily. So you went into it with a little bit of bias with that.
Right.
So the other part that you mentioned was that a lot of them just rant. Now,
Yes.
going into any field, this is what I've learned. The entering the psychology of that field is just as important as whatever you feel like you can bring. So, what do I mean by this? You, I don't feel, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but are approaching
Yes,
this
sir.
from the perspective of wanting to rant. You're wanting to add value. You're kind of thinking, okay, we can build this thing huge. I can bring people who are maybe struggling with whatever they're doing. I can show them success in the trucking industry. That's quite a
Yes,
bit
sir.
different than
Right.
what you said that you've heard on it. That can be good and bad. Okay.
Okay.
If you understand that most of these truckers, this is the general way that they're coming in, and you're coming in here more successful than some, less successful than
Hmm.
others. That's okay. But you're going to come here
Right.
from young guy energy. Hey, like I can bring people in.
Right.
It's good, but also be aware of what that could possibly do with you within the trucking industry. You're going to create
Okay.
peace, and that's okay. I'm just letting
Hmm.
you know that right now. If you're
Okay.
going to be that different, where most of them are maybe a little bit older, down to earth, just kind of random
Yeah.
stuff. That's not good or bad. It's just the general, maybe who they are. I haven't done the research. That's just coming from you. And if you're going to come in with
Okay.
young guy energy and talk about, kind of the way that you're talking about things, just know it's okay that you're going to be doing that. But especially because you want to grow, be aware that some guys are going to pour hate, other guys are going to love.
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay. So understand the
Yes.
psychology of the field that you're entering. You're not just now having a business within here and being not a no name, but like a smaller name. Not everyone
Hmm.
in the trucking industry knows you, but now you
Yes.
can say, I want a voice. These are two very completely different things. Both
Okay.
are almost businesses within their own right, within an industry. There are plenty of people who have a trucking business, but they don't have a
Yes.
voice in the trucking business.
Ooh,
If you want
that's
to be
deep.
a voice, it's almost
Yeah.
like another business within the trucking business. And so you got to understand the competition and the hate and the applause that's going to come along with that. All right.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So,
I like that.
so that would be one thing that, or two things that I just wanted to say, comment on that. As far as the other platforms go, I really still want you to get kind of focused on the strategies. Um,
Okay.
so this kind of reminds me of like the first or second week when I was talking to you about like the message. It kind of took like 1
Yes.
week longer, and like that's okay. But
Right.
you got to come back the next week to really talk about the specifics of what that looks like.
Yes.
So do you have any? Obviously, if we weren't able to get that like locked down in terms of the strategies for the three different platforms, do you have any questions with me on how to maybe potentially look for that a little bit more?
Yes. That. Yes. Yes. Let's start with that. Like, what approach would you take? Like, from my end, how would I be able to identify that when I'm doing my research?
So if you want to write these down, you can. I'm just going to list off some things that I would look for, and this is going to be broad for each of the um, each of the platforms, but I'm going to keep it broad on purpose so that way it works with each of the platforms.
Okay.
I'm not going to say on YouTube, look for this. I'm not going to say on Instagram, look for this, although we could go there if you really wanted to. But so first of all, I would look at what are they putting forth in the world? Is it mainly them in a truck? Are they sitting in front of the camera, like sitting down at a home? Where's like the environment that they're in? Okay, that would be like number one, because environment plays a big role in psychology of the people who listen. So, for example, I'm in my room right now. To some people, that may turn them off. They're like, okay, this guy's not professional. No worries at all, because we're obviously just starting this. I'm not worried about that at all. If I was trying to go after, $1 million client, I may want a certain backdrop, or I may want to be in the office that has, the water behind me. So environment plays a big role, a big factor. So
Yes.
look for the environment. Second thing, and this kind of goes along with environment, but look at the setup. Is it down to earth, or are they trying to be more professional? What is it like with most of the people in your industry? Neither is right or wrong, but again, you're just looking at what is already working. You're not trying to say, oh, this is good, this is bad. You're just trying to look at what is working with the people who are bigger in the trucking industry. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another one could be, so you mentioned a lot of them are just rambling. So paying attention to the macro of what are they talking about? Is this more, hey, this guy's big, but it's because we're really just getting to know him and all of his beliefs? Or is it because he's just dropping knowledge on the trucking industry as a whole? Because some people, you go ahead, ask it.
No, because you hit it on the money. I didn't want to. That's what I was going to ask earlier. So to get straight to the point, that's a great question. What are they rambling about? Some guys are not really. They're great. They're great at entertaining. And keeping those kind of people engaged or whatever like that. However, I don't feel like they're being informative. Like that's how I want to approach it, but I don't want to come off too salesy, so but this helps me, environment and setup, because I can make them comfortable if I give them a familiar, background or something like that. So I appreciate you hitting that on a right on the money, dude. So
because
that's what it was.
And again, this is the crazy part about understanding influencing people. Words are a piece of the puzzle. Looks, tone of voice, background, your attire, all of that is going to play a different role. Am I wearing a polo? Am I wearing a t-shirt? Am I wearing a sweatshirt? Am I wearing a suit? What sometimes the nicer you dress for a certain industry can actually work worse than just being down to earth. Sometimes the most candid ads are the ones of people just in shorts and a t-shirt, and they're just keeping it real, almost as if they were talking with a friend. And they're like, oh, I like this guy. Whereas, if I'm a finance person and I'm all in my suit, I'm like, hey, that guy just wants my money. That's why he's trying to look. He almost looks too, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But with some people, they're
Yes.
like, oh, that guy is sharp, so I'm going to trust him with my money. So there is no right or wrong. It's knowing the psychology of who you're trying to go after. And also knowing yourself, man, too, at the end of the day. Like, if you're like, hey, even though I want the big whales, I don't want to dress up. Hey, no problem. Then you're just going to have to be so good with your knowledge that they just can't deny, what you're posting about.
Right. So, with that being said, yep, that's what I was going to say. It goes back to that. So, should I be informative?
Right. So this is the other thing that you mentioned, which I did want to touch on. You said, I don't want to be too salesy. This is going to sound like plain advice, but then don't. Then don't. No, but here's what I mean with this. Play the long game. Play the long game. If you don't want to be too salesy, the way you push back against that within yourself is don't even worry about the sale in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. However long you can push it back within yourself to where before you're just going to burst, I would say push it back as long as you can until you know that you're going to burst. If you can play the 20-year game, and I'm serious with this, play the 20-year game. If you can only play the 1 year or 5 year, no problem. Play the 1 year or 5 year. But as long as you can, push it off, because when you push it off and you're saying, hey, I don't care if there's a sale attached to this, the more authentic, the more authenticity comes through.
Right. So it's about building the audience. So it's steps to it, really. It's about building the audience first, correct?
Yep. And here's going to be the illustration. Let's say you have Joe, who's in the market to get married. But he's like, hey, I need to get married by the end of this year, or I just need to get married before I'm 30 and he's 25 right now. Let's
Right.
take Joe in both those scenarios. If Joe's trying to get married by the end of the year, he's having conversations, boom, 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 with each one. He's not playing around. But if
Yep.
Joe's waiting until he's 30 years old, and that's a 5-year game for him, he's gonna the girls that he talks to, he's gonna be open to it, but
Hmm.
he's not gonna demand that anything comes from it because he's like, hey, I got 5 years. So the
Yep.
relationships that he builds are just gonna be more authentic. And if it just so happens to develop into one, he's grateful for it, but he's not forcing it. He's not, neither one's right or wrong, but just understanding the different mindsets of where Joe's at, depending on how long he can hold off and where his goals are.
So it starts with me, so I gotta kind of like
The whole
lead
thing's
the
about
way,
you.
right?
This whole
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right. And which, by the way, bro, if you remember what I told you, which I'm sure you do, what I say this first month is going to be.
About the philosophies and
All philosophy, man.
yeah, all philosophy.
Yep, we can talk tactics all day long, but philosophy is the most important thing to keep momentum and set yourself up for where you're trying to go. Because if you're good, you're going to make it. But if you can keep it, is going to depend on your philosophies and your
Yeah,
values.
right. And that goes back to the foundation that you said. So right now, just building a foundation, man. You got this thing mapped out, Paulie. You got it mapped out, dude.
Well, and this is the thing I've thought about for myself too. You can testify this because you've known me now for,
Yes.
you knew me back then 4 years ago or whatever it was. I've had the knowledge for quite a while, but I think it's good that actually nothing has happened with me because I don't know if I would have been able to sustain it because I didn't know what I would do if I blew up. I didn't know what I would do if I started having all these things. You knew me. I could have given a lot of people, the right things and, done a lot of different things.
Yes.
I wasn't sure of where I was at on a personal level. Like I needed to get
Oh,
that stuff more mapped out, which is why I've stayed quiet for so long because I needed to figure out Paul. Like I
yeah.
wasn't questioning my capability. I was like, I need to figure out what I'm going to do if I do blow up. Because that's the big thing. Because you don't want to blow up too soon and have it crash. Because then you're going to really
Yeah.
learn some hard lessons.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Um. Yeah, man. You definitely did have since our first you know encounter. You a bright guy.
Appreciate that.
Very smart. Yes, sir.
So
So
back to kind of those strategies. Do you feel a little more clear now, or do you want to spend some more time on that?
no, I do, because these are not things that I know that you mentioned it last week when we had our call about you did. You told me this is what I want you to look at. See how these guys are approaching
Yep.
the video. See what they're saying. However, I think it's more clear to me now that I went and did that, and you're like, dude, focus on the type of environment. What kind of environment are they in, and what setups are working, like what
Yep.
are reeling the people in. So those things, I'm gonna be honest, I did not focus on when I was watching these videos. So uh, I'm gonna go back and do that. So you hit that on the money. Environment, setup, attire. These are all the things that put me, always put me at a halt because with making my videos, because I don't really know how to approach it. It's like I know what I want to say, but it's like, where should I be? Should I be in my car? Should I be in my truck?
Right.
Should I be in the house and those kind of things? It's like, yeah, I have these good things to say. I have all this information that I want to, help somebody with, but I don't want them to look another way because right now I have the family downstairs, so I'm in my boys' room.
This is actually something that I want to say that you should use to your advantage, and I'm going to tell you how I'm doing it with mine. So I've had people tell me, "Oh, you shouldn't record it in your room. You shouldn't record it if the bed's in the background or if the light's right here. You shouldn't record this, all this other stuff." And I
Uh-huh.
smile on the inside. Why do I smile on the inside? Because I'm like, I'm actually doing this on purpose. Because who do I want to attract? I want to attract the beginner. I'm not worried about
Mm-hmm.
the big whales right now. If I was,
Right.
honestly, it'd kind of be a little bit fake. Do I think that I don't have the knowledge that I could talk to them on? I honestly think
We know you
I
do.
do. It's more a matter of being authentic, bro. And so I want to start from the beginning. I've also had people tell me on my videos, oh, we should do this editing, we should do this. I've Side note, this is going to be a thing. When you start your journey, bro, a lot of people, just like when you have a kid, they're just going to
Mhm.
give you advice even though you didn't ask for it. They're going to give you advice even though you didn't ask for it, right? That's going to be the thing. But with me, the non-editing has actually been intentional. I've wanted it to be just like, hey, straight beginnings. You're going to get me in my room at college, just hitting record and uploading. I want to show right now in the beginning, dude, I know I'm going to get to the point where I had the video crew editing, da 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 da. I want to relish this time in the beginning to say, look how I started. This is
Yeah.
intentional. This is intentional.
Okay.
And I'm not trying
Right.
to come off as further along than I am, because maybe even though intellectually I may be there, practically I'm not right now. And that's okay. So don't be something you're not. Be authentic to
Right.
where you're at right now. And that's going to attract people, bro. That's going to attract people.
Okay. All right. I
Mhm.
like that. I like that.
You're going to have people
So
that go, oh, you're trying to tell us stuff and look at where you're at. You're not. And you say you are right because they are, and that's okay
Yep.
because you know
Hmm.
where you're going to be in 5 years, and then you can say,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? It's just part of the game, man, and you're going to understand that you got to have those people come along. It's just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna propel you forward, man. So that's great, man. It makes a lot of sense, dude. So I definitely have to do some thinking on that because I was overthinking it. But yeah, those guys are doing it right. They're in all kinds of places. They don't care, and they just talking right and
They just talking, man.
making something out of it. Yeah. So
They just talk, and this is kind of something that I've been thinking about while on the internet. One thing that we don't realize, I think, as just consumers in general,
what's that? Mm-hmm.
we don't realize how big the internet is and how many people have the 500 to 10,000 subscribers, because all we pay attention to in our heads is the 100,000, 500,000, 1 million plus. And we're like, I want to be like them. We don't realize how small that is. Bro, do you realize how viable it is to have a 500 to 10,000 person community? And that's still,
Right.
that's a ton of people still following you, but we dismiss those people all the time. And that's who I want you to start thinking about, is how many of those people there are out there, rather than looking at the people who are 100,000, 500,000, a million plus. Because, bro, although that may come and that'd be great if that came, if you set out for the numbers right away, possibly not, but I have a feeling there's going to be some faking it along the way.
Yeah.
And as much as you
Yeah.
can, dude, this thing's about being authentic.
Okay.
You want to be, and I'm getting this from what's it, Don Miller? I forget, one of the books I read. But you want to be the guide, not the hero. You want to be the
Okay.
guide, not the hero. So you help them along the way, but you shouldn't be the person who's like, oh, you should strive to be after me, be like me.
Mm-hmm.
No. You should say, hey, here's what I've learned. If it helps, great. So you're like guiding them in the process. I can take you from A to B. I can't take you from A to Z, but I can take you from A to B. It's more of being a guide and just saying, hey, I'm in this journey with you. I'm not this superstar. I'm in the journey with you. And as long as you can hold that kind of authenticity, the more people that you'll attract.
Dude, that's killer. Here's what let somebody else save the day, right?
Let somebody else. If somebody else wants to, have the big giant house when they're 20 years old, and whatever, the perfect family,
Yep.
they can have that. We're not trying
Yep.
to do that.
Yep. I agree, man. You got it. So I know that you do videos every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is a how-to. I know we're trying to stay away from that, but so how I was going to say how do you
That's fine.
prepare your mind to do each video?
Yeah.
Yeah, every day. Do you have it like mapped out? Do you write it down like what I'm doing, or do you just go out there and
Yep.
being authentic? Can you plan it out? Being authentic, or is this authentic like just like what we're doing now? Because this isn't
Right.
scripted. We're just talking.
Right. So one, this comes along the lines of knowing yourself. Okay. Depending on your personality will depend on if you can wing it or if you have to plan it. Both are okay because both are authentic. It just depends on your personality. For me,
Okay.
I have a little bit of both. So 2 out of the 7 days, I'm doing a series. On Mondays, I do a marketing series. So I'm just taking the books that I've read because I'm not trying to say that I'm some crazy marketer. I'm right now using the pros in the industry and just taking 3 simple lessons from each book that I'm reading to help someone out because maybe they'd rather digest it through video than open a book on their own. On Saturdays, because of the community that I'm in right now, a lot of people need extra money. And so on Saturdays, I do a side hustle series. But on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, whatever's on my mind, whatever I'm currently learning right now, I choose to talk about. So I'm both scripted and not scripted. Now, I never
Okay.
write out, what I'm going to say in the video beforehand. That I like to just kind of do it, just live on camera. But 2 of the days I have stuff planned, and the other 5 talk about whatever.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. That's something to keep in mind.
Because it also allows people to look forward to something if they don't quite get you yet. Because that's one of the things you're going to realize when you're starting out. All the person's asking their head is, who is this person and how can they help me? Who is this person? How can they help me? People are asking that question whether they realize it or not. If they want to be entertained, they literally go to people, not thinking, oh, they can help me by entertaining me. They just go, oh, I like them because they're funny. But what that's really doing is they're helping them because they want to laugh. But this is the 2 questions that people are asking all the time. Who is this person and how can they help me? And the more you can centralize kind of what you're talking about, the quicker that you can do that, the quicker they're going to be able to go, okay, Lorenzo is this with trucking. This is how he's going to help me. I'm either interested or not. And the more broad you are, it may take someone longer to figure it out, but it also may make them like you more, just depending on the range of topics that you go through. So again, there is no right or wrong with this, but it's just answering
Okay.
2 questions in the consumer's mind.
Okay. Man, who is this person? How can they help me?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it gets better and better every week. It's like, So yeah, like when we're talking, you're like, but you told me that, you told me that, you told me that. It's like you could have told me everything all at once, but you're grooming me in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the
It's
philosophy stuff
making me better.
is the stuff that we're going to keep coming back to. Like the one thing I have written down for today, it's going to be something that we're going to have to keep coming back to as well. Like I know that for sure, because I know I have to keep reminding myself of it as well. And once we're done kind of talking about last week, we can go into that. But yeah, so this philosophy stuff, I'm telling you, man, it is the most important thing because it's your mindset. It's your mindset.
Yes. All right. Do you have things to help you with that? Like I know you read a lot. I read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot. Not on those topics though. A lot of self-help,
Mm-hmm.
marketing, books like that. I have a ton of audio books. Do you think you can recommend something at the end of our talk that may, help me?
I'll recommend something right now, and it's something that I think talked to you about a week or 2 ago.
Mm-hmm.
Spend time alone in your own head.
Okay.
The more you get clear with who Lorenzo is, the more other people and their opinions, or the less other people and their opinions matter. You listen to them.
Okay.
I'm not saying this from a prideful point of view. You listen to them, but everything's with a grain of salt. You know why? Because Lorenzo, if you don't even know your full self, which,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know my full self, how can
Mm-hmm.
another person know us better? Potentially, they can see something in us, and oftentimes people do, which is why you still do listen. You know what I'm saying? You don't tune everybody else out, but
Right.
you do have to spend time getting to know yourself because that's how you get clear on where you want to go. And that's why I was telling you the other day when you were asking like, I don't really know what I want to talk about. I don't know what my message is. And I said, ask your wife, what are the things you talk
Yep.
about most? And you're like, oh, that did work. Like I do talk about these things. You just got to spend time alone, bro. Like we want to consume stuff all the time. And I'm like one of the most guilty of it. I always want to consume. But there's a lot of time I spend up here. Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? All these questions you have to get more clear on. And the more clear that you are, the less that outside noise will matter. And that would be my number one. It's not going to be a book. It's not going to be a video. It's not going to be any of that. It's spend time alone and ask yourself those
Okay.
questions.
All right. Don't do that enough.
Mm-hmm. A lot of guys don't, frankly. Like a lot of, the guys have the stereotype, oh, we're not emotional. Frankly, we are human beings. We are emotional. We have all the chemicals to be emotional. We just don't spend enough time sitting in those to realize that we are. What do we oftentimes do?
Yep.
We avoid them by doing stuff. We're like, oh, I'm going to go do stuff.
Yeah.
No, we are human beings, therefore we have the chemicals to be emotional. It's sitting in that to realize, what those are and what they're trying to tell us. Because emotions are helpful. It's just trying to figure out what they're trying to say to us,
That's what I was going to say. It can be a benefit in a way, and we can be blocking that by avoiding it, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. So that would honestly, Lorenzo, be the number one thing that I would say to you in terms of how you can get to the right mindset is getting clear on these things, getting clear on the values, getting clear on where you want to go, and getting clear on who you want to be. Doing all those things, and the more that you can stay focused on that, because bro, you're gonna have a lot of people come around you, and this is kind of what we're gonna talk about today. I won't go into it yet, but you're gonna have a lot of people come around you. Lorenzo, you're the man. Lorenzo, you help me.
Right.
You start saying, man, I'm some and that's the other downside. If you get too down on yourself, that's bad. If you get too high on yourself, that's bad. You want to get to the point where you can accept the bad about you, you can accept the good about you, but you stay right here in the middle.
Okay. And I'm in control of that, right? Not anyone else.
That's right.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, man. Do you want to touch on that?
Yes. Okay. So the one thing that I have written down for today is this: determine how you're going to deal with success and failure. So this is the last part. I'm not going to say it's the last piece of philosophy that we're going to touch on, but just for this 4 weeks that we've been doing stuff, and for the forthcoming videos, we can kind of recap because obviously this is the first one that we're recording. But determining how you're going to deal with success and failure is going to save you so much emotional stress because you're going to have both. And if you just go into this, the best example that I can give, although I haven't lived it, but I can just suppose because it seems like the biggest decision that one can make is preparing for marriage. That is a huge thing. You probably thought about it more than just the day before you got married.
Yep.
You thought about it while you were dating a person. Hey, is this someone that I can see myself with? What does marriage mean? What does this mean for me? How does it change, how I interact with this person, this person, this person? How does it change my whole life? It's going to change finances. You think about it so much because it's going to affect so much. The second biggest thing that's going to affect you so much is starting a business, and having a kid, these things.
Yes.
Starting a business is like a family member. It is like a family. It's going to take up a lot of time. It's going to take the finances, and it's going to take emotional support. All these things. You got to treat it like a person. And you're going to say, okay, if this thing works out really well, how am I going to deal with this? Because unlike a spouse, if your business blows up in a good way, what comes along with that is more people, more associations, more opportunities. And within that realm of more opportunities and more people, good and bad is both there. Opportunities to do more good in the world and opportunities to slip up. Now, on the flip side, you start a business or start whatever venture, failure is also a thing. And so because we're specifically here within our context, not necessarily talking about your business, but more your social media presence, with what I said in this video, it's like another business. Because having a voice in an industry is another way of impacting an industry. So it's like it. So where I'm going with this one within our context is, how are you going to deal with it if you blow up to 100,000 people?
Right.
If you don't know how you're going to deal with that, you're going to trip up. It's just because why? Because humans weren't meant to have 1,000 people who listen to them. Plain and simple. Why do so many humans, in the past get so egotistical and, do whatever? We weren't meant to have literally 100,000, 10,000, 50,000, a million. But bro, that's possible. And the other side of this, if you're going to start putting your thoughts out into the world, unlike a business where if it fails, okay, it fails, you're going to start having some people who talk a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And so how are you going to deal with that? Are you going to let it wreck you? Which, by the way, I wrote this note down when you were telling me. Oh, it took me out for a week when Instagram kind of shut off my ads.
Yeah, right.
Emotional. That's not
Hmm.
it wasn't a practical reason. That was an emotional reaction.
Right.
It didn't actually stop you from researching. Just because your ads
Hmm.
were running, has nothing to do with stopping what other people are doing. Yet
Right.
it affected you emotionally. Therefore, it did.
Right.
So, practicality behind this now, you don't always know how you're going to react. Obviously, you can't possibly predict. But what you can do is put parameters. Say, okay,
Okay.
if I reach this, a lot of success, whatever the number is in your head, you can put parameters up for whatever that's going to look like. You say, okay, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know if I'll like it. I don't know if I'll feel anxious, overwhelmed, etc. But if I start to get this point, here's what I'll put in place to keep me accountable, to my values, and make sure that I'm doing okay. On the other side,
Right.
this is what I'm going to put in place if I start dealing with a lot of hate. Okay, I'm going to have a moderator come in and, there is no right way. Maybe I'll start replying to all of these. Maybe I'll be super just kind to these people. You have to figure out what you're going to do for both the really good comments and the big following and the really nasty people, because both come.
Okay. And you got to respond. Oh,
No,
that's up to me, right?
it's up to you. I was just giving the different people. I mean, there's people
Hmm.
who love to respond to every single negative comment. Some will shoot right back. It's almost like they love confrontation online. Others are super like really nice in response. Hey, like, okay, I appreciate the feedback. Obviously, like a little harsh, but tell me why you think that. And then sometimes the really mean people open back up. Other people are like, I'm just gonna ignore it. There is no right way.
Right.
You can start beef with people. You can be really nice to them, or you can ignore it, or you can delete it. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can block it. There is
Hmm.
no right way. It's what works to keep you in the right headspace.
Yep. And it can knock you off course.
That's
And
the biggest thing, bro. It can't knock you off course. And then on the other side, with the good stuff, I was thinking about this the other day. I think I recorded a video on it, as a matter of fact.
uh-huh.
When the good stuff comes, or when you blow up and people realize that you're a valuable person, you're going to
Hmm.
have good opportunities come up that take you off the main thing. You cannot let anything take you off your main thing. Whatever you feel like in your life that the Lord's calling you to, and whatever you feel like that main thing is, you got to,
Yes.
he's going to, other opportunities are going to come up. But if you've been called to do XYZ, you need to stay on XYZ. And you need to create the parameters around that and say, okay, anything besides XYZ, maybe besides one or two things, I'll just have to say no to. Or,
Okay.
just be open. Whatever you want to do. There is no right or wrong. It's just understanding that these things will come.
Right. And how to handle them when they do come.
Exactly.
Or I need to be prepared. Yeah.
Be
Yep.
prepared for that.
Yep. Especially that, because if I can mention, I remember you were saying last week, you told me that we would get to this point, and you mentioned that what if you do get, you know, this big, what if you don't start off with 100, followers or people that's listening to you? What if you do hit that 200,000, how are you gonna deliver them from whatever you said you're going to deliver them from, or how are you going to guide them? Are you prepared? And it all comes back down to knowing, who I am, and exactly what I want to do and what direction, I want to take this in. So that's very valuable there. That's a key question. How would you handle success, and how would you respond to failure? So I completely understand now. It's clear. You mind if I step up and close the door? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, you're
I
good.
keep
You're good.
hearing everybody. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that.
All good.
Yeah, but yeah, now I see it. I get what you're saying,
Mhm.
because in my mind it's like, man, I want to help everybody. I do want, all these people, this big crowd. I never really thought about, working in increments and starting with the small crowd, and doing it that way. I just wanted to go straight out and and
Yeah.
be up top. But how would I handle it?
Yep.
Uh, I've handled many successes and failures in my life. That's the reason, we're blessed and fortunate to be where we are today. Both of us, test, just like with you in school and everything. It's plenty of things that you had to go through to
Yep.
get to where you are today, and you were successful, and you overcame failure to be the man that you are today. And just like myself. So, but it's a difference, do you feel as though it's a difference depending on, what area in your life it is? Like, or do you feel like if how I responded to, this success or this failure in the past, I can apply that to to what we're talking about as far as like YouTube and the people and everything.
Yeah. So the answer is both. You can obviously take lessons, but you can never have something that's exactly the same. And I think if you go into it, in my opinion, it's cocky and prideful if we were to say, oh, because I handled this, I know. And you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to believe, but we don't really know. Plenty of people fall and deal with this thing, but they get wrecked by this thing, even though this thing on the outside was harder over here. And you know why they fell
Mm-hmm.
this thing? Because in their mind, oh, it's easier, so I don't need to worry. I can keep my guards down. And then they fall over here. So I would say yes, always take lessons, but never underestimate any form of a distraction or something that can bring you down. Never underestimate it. Because if I could take this example, there are many. If we were to just look at history, not that I read all these accounts, but like the people are just like insanely good warriors and they've survived so many battles, and then they get a flu, and then they die from a flu.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna avoid. You're gonna survive all these things and be just an epic hero, and then a little virus comes and you're like, and then you
Right.
we would say the first one is harder. It's where the chances of dying are so much worse. Plenty of people have overcome the flu.
Yep.
But then so you just can't underestimate any type of enemy or distraction or anything that comes in your life.
All right. Yeah, man. That's, again, you hit it on the money. I love the way that you answered that question. So you're helping me dig deeper and deeper into myself, man. Just when I thought I was there, it was good enough but no, we're going to be dealing with other people. So yeah, man. All right. All right. So is that our main focus this week? So how would we how would I or both of us handle success and failure once we get there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is going to be the main focus that I want to kind of outline. But because we didn't get, or because the strategy wasn't real clear from last week, I still want
Yes.
to do research again, just try and come up with 3 things, not for me, but more for you. When you start putting content on these different social media sites, it's going to be more for you saying, okay, on this one, I got to be more geared like this. On this one, I'm going to be a little bit more geared like this. On this one, I'm going to be a little bit more geared like this. Because I think the one thing to keep in mind is that people's mindsets are different on each platform. When I'm on Facebook, to be honest with you, I kind of just want informative stuff. Fun fact, I watch almost every video that my brother sends me on Instagram. Every single video that he has sent me on Facebook, I don't watch. Don't ask me why.
Right.
I don't watch. I don't know if I don't know what it is. There is not one video that he sends me in Messenger that I watch. Every single video that he sends me DM on Instagram, I watch it.
Mm-hmm.
On LinkedIn, my mindset's different. On YouTube, my mindset's different. So it's also respecting the people on different platforms. So again, it's not for you to give me the list of the 3 things that is going to work. It's for you to figure out how you can best talk to people on those different platforms.
Okay. All right.
So
That's good.
focusing on setting up what you're going to do with the success and failure. And again, that's not saying that you know how you're going to respond, but just putting up parameters, how-tos kind of, if you will, for each one. And then going back to last week and getting clear on kind of some things that are working with the different people in the trucking business.
Okay. about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, man. So everybody wants to know where I'm at. Dude, can you guys close that door? I'm on an important call. Can you guys close the door?
There you go.
Oh man. Sorry about that, man.
But here's one thing I'll tell you about this. For some people, it's going to turn them off. For other people, they're going to be like, hey, that's real. That dad's grinding
Yeah.
right now. He's got kids in the back, but he's grinding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, 8:17. He took a call at 7:30. It's now 8:17. He's working.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
You connect more. Other people, and this guy, you just have to be, like deaf to it, bro. Because
Yeah.
it's not good about, bro. Your family matters way more than anybody who could ever come at you with anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's those type of things that.
So was that the test? That was almost like
Honestly,
a test.
I was kind of looking at you, just thinking about, okay, how is he going to react?
Yeah.
And dude, again, there's no right or wrong, but
Mhm.
understand if you're recording this like on your own, like say I wasn't even in this video, like you're just trying to record whatever to put, whatever out to the world, and someone comes in, you're immediately going to have 10,000 judgments go through your head.
Yeah.
You're immediately going to start talking, bro. The second you first click record for the first time, and you start looking at yourself and what am I doing right now? You're probably going to be like this right now. This is a joke, man. All that's judgment, and all that is outside voices coming into your head. You know what you got is good stuff. You know what you got is good stuff. All this judgment that you see within your own head, it's going to get amplified times 1,000 when other people start commenting. So the more you can shush it in your own head when you're putting your own stuff out there, it's easier with other people.
Ooh, man.
It's all all of it.
Yeah, man. Yep, that's it, man. I see it. That's how I see it. He sent me a test, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just now, we were just talking about that, and it's like, dude, how are you gonna respond? Yeah, man.
All right, man. So, any questions before we hop off? Like, any questions in regards to what you're going to be doing this next week before we hop on the call again next Monday?
So I have written down. Let me just look over the notes that I have written down. Environment. So the environment and setup, that kind of goes back to those three things, right? As far as researching the different platforms, like
that's
seeing.
one of the things. Yep.
Okay. So run it down to me just so I can make sure I'm clear again on it. As far as
you want for next Monday?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's knowing your parameters on what you're going to do when you get big, okay, or when you get the bad comments. It's kind of like when you get the good comments and when you get the bad comments. That's more of what I
right,
because you're inevitably going to grow over time. That's the nature of the internet. If you're consistent, no matter what, you're going to grow over time. So it's not a major matter of getting big because eventually you get there if you stick with it long enough. It's more of a matter how you're going to deal with the success of certain people praising you and how you're going to deal with the failure or perceived negativity of certain people commenting on your stuff too. The parameters for both, really.
Okay.
And then the other part is getting clear on the three. Again, this is more for you, but list three things for each of the platforms, however many you want to do, that work best practices, if you will, on those platforms.
Okay.
And again,
I like that.
There is no, this is what a best practice, this is what a best, come up with whatever you want. If you're saying, hey, most people put three, word titles and that seems to work best, or some people have this background. It can be completely arbitrary, bro. Most things in this creative world are arbitrary, and they like to say that things are objective, but it's not. Most things are subjective in this world. So just come up with three things that you see tending to work well, and that can be a starting point. Because eventually, dude, you're going to learn this on your own, and you're going to learn what works best for you, and then you can just do that, whatever works best for you.
Dude, you just took it right out of my mouth, man. No, honestly, you really did, because I was going to say, like, these are the things that I'm spotting out and I'm seeing what's working. So don't reinvent the wheel, but I'm like, dude, once I get to a certain point, Can I like, be in my own space? Can somebody come and, do what, yep, do what we're doing right now? And they say, man, these dudes are here, or, Paul's talking to me on the beach. You're out there in the middle
Right.
of Florida. It's beautiful. You might leave your room and go to the beach or something like that,
Right.
or something, So, all right, that's cool. I like how you're doing it because you're doing it. You like, my room is where I'm going to
Right.
be
It's
starting
purposeful.
off.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, on purpose. So, I get it, man. I didn't get it. I get it now after talking to you.
Good.
To be honest, man, I didn't get it, but now I have a better understanding. Because last week I said, should I just hang up and just like start record? I know I have it in me, but as
Yeah.
soon as I get right there, I'm like, dude, where should I be? What should I show them?
Right.
Or it's like, man. So I guess we'll get to that point when the how-tos. I know the how-tos are going to be like crazy once we get all this stuff set up. So
Don't be
okay,
so attracted to them, bro. The mindset.
right,
I'm telling you, it's where it's at. Because if you
right,
do the how-tos right, but you don't have the right mindset, you will crumble. It's just facts.
right,
Crumble.
right.
So don't
I agree, man.
get
Hope
overzealous on looking at the how-tos.
hold me to that, dude. Hold me to that. But I got it, man. I definitely got it. You get my psyche right.
Here we go. Cool.
Dude, man, always a pleasure. Your knowledge is priceless, man. One day, yeah, it will be a price. It will be a price on it, man. But dude, I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed, and yeah, man, I feel so blessed just to to get it on the on the in the beginning stages, because it's so, dude, you're like on another level, man. I told you that.
The blessing is.
Can you hear me, dude?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if that's me. My headset died, but
Gotcha.
you are one of a kind, dude. One in a million. So I know that you'll keep doing great on your channel and everything. And I'm blessed to have you in my corner, helping me get jump started and, pave the way. So
I appreciate it.
You got two successes, man. You got two successes, man. Yours and mine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I really appreciate you, man.
Goes both ways. Goes both ways.
Thank you for your time.
Yep. All right, man. I'll see you next week.
All right, yeah, next week. Let's do it. 7:00. If nothing comes up.
Yep.
Congrats again about earlier, and thank you. We'll talk throughout the week, okay?
All right, sounds good, man. I'll see you.
All right, be blessed, man. I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, later.